Get ready, ladies and gentlemen. It's time for kickoffs and kick-ons.
You're right, boys. We're on. Boys, we're on. You're good? Hey, boys. We're on.
Hey, welcome.
Yep. You want to take it or you want
Sure.
me to do it? No, I'll do it. G'day and welcome to the Rugby Podcast Revolution. Look, folks, there are some great combos in the world. Well, we're about to blow all those combos out of the water. Vegemite and butter. A braai and a Devil's Peak. Matt and a Mai Tai. Drew and a personal vendetta. Or Swoop and a dog box. All great combos, but none better than what we're about to do today. That's right. Kickoffs and kick-ons, otherwise known as the KOKO Show, is now collabing with Boks Office, everybody. What a day. I don't know how they agreed to this. I think they're regretting it right now based on what happened in here before the show. Now, I'm going to bring you boys in real quick today. No faffing about. No long intros. Matt Giddo, Adam Ashley Cooper, Drew Mitchell. How are you boys?
I'm well, thank you.
Great. I'm filthy. There's no intro.
No, we just got to get through it very quick because we have a very special guest in studio with us today.
Yeah.
Super special. Please welcome Shimmy from Boks Office.
Yes, thank you very much.
You didn't want to say his full name there, Prof?
Shimmy just said, call me Shimmy.
Shimmy Prof, it works.
Yeah, we don't need full name. We're all mates.
Yeah, exactly. Shimmy Prof.
That's right. Now,
Soup. Gets.
that's right. Goit.
And this guy.
This guy. Now, Shimmy, you and I are co-hosting this today, but I'll tell people that are watching how this is going to work, right? Basically, it's one show that we're going to slice into two. Part one is going to appear on the KOKO channels, the kickoffs and kick-ons. Part two is going to appear on the Boks Office channels. So I think I'm going to host the first little bit. We'll reach a point. I'll say, stop. Now you've got to go over to the Boks Office channels, and then you're going to get part two on there. Does that make sense to everybody?
Clear.
Yeah.
I wasn't listening, but I'll trust
you
you.
You never do. Now, Shimmy, it's not just the five of us here today. There's also a couple of South African gents from your show that are joining us. Would you like to bring them in right now?
Schalk Burger, Jean de Villiers, how's the boys? Looking very formal there.
Early in the morning, Shimmy.
You 2 minutes away
on
from the
waters.
studio there.
You guys are on the beers. It's not a fair fight. I'm better on the beers.
Yeah, well,
Jean, how you doing?
Yeah, good, Chims. Thanks. Hanyani Shimange.
That's it, my boy.
Just for everyone out there.
You're not telling me I knew that. Is that for these boys? Or? Now, there are a lot of us. You guys seem pretty pumped to be on. I know it's early, but we are ready to go here. So what we're going to try and do is not talk over each other. We're going to do our best. The other thing, Schalk and Jean, we've decided today, we had a vote. We're not going to talk any rugby. It's going to be all about the Olympics. So I want to know, only one gold medal for South Africa. You guys are obviously in crisis mode. What are you going to do about it?
I thought we had a decent dig at it, actually. I loved the 100-meter relay.
Yeah, that was good.
I mean, talk about the breakdancing of your
Oh, yeah.
contest.
Actually, we were actually going to ask you boys if you got a
was
rendition.
I've got no breakdancing in me, but I've seen John de Villiers on the dance floor.
Not
I'm
on
not
the
sure
water.
our
though.
breakdancer
Not
had
on the
any
water.
breakdancing.
Well, our breakdance.
I'm going to raise my hand.
Yes,
Yeah,
John,
sure.
yes.
So I can say something. We did get a medal at rugby as well at the Olympics.
Yeah,
We did.
Yeah.
Scala, don't let them divert. We're going to Suncorp just now. Don't worry, boy. It's
Well,
coming.
Just on the breakdancing, our breakdancer Raygun was doing the kangaroo. Skull, I hear you've got a pretty good elephant dance.
Yeah, the elephant in the room.
Now, boys, at the top of our show, there are a couple of things that we need to get into. One in particular, are the three of you in Canberra on the 22nd of August by any chance? Shimmy, are you in the country? Boys, are you flying out to Canberra?
Look, when we left Super Rugby, that's the one thing I was happy about. We didn't have to go to Canberra again, to be honest with you. So
Shimmy, you're
definitely
telling me, mate. I mean, hang on a second. No, mate, it's a beautiful place. What are you talking about, Shimmy?
It's like Bloemfontein with kangaroos.
Nothing wrong with Bloemfontein.
Well, we're doing a live show there now that we've slated it. We on the 22nd, you can come and watch kickoffs and kick-ons. Shimmy might be there. We don't know yet. $39. We're going to be talking all things. Well,
39. Well, we're giving it away, are we?
$39. Yeah, well, it was more expensive, and then we saw what happened against the Springboks, and we figured people won't show up. So we've cut the price down to $39. It's going to be all things Wallabies v Springboks. And then we also have another live show. Sorry to do this, boys. We've got to feed the families. The other one is in Sydney. Ollie, give me the date. What date is it? 20th of September is the other one. Now,
that's all we've got time for.
Is that all we've got time for?
Oh.
Unfortunately, we do need to speak about the game on the weekend. Swoop, Drew and Shimmy, you were at Suncorp. It turned out to be a Springboks home game, which was great for you guys. Amazing crowd there, Shimmy. Amazing support for the Springboks.
Yeah, gee, was the amount of South Africans there. It's I mean, I went for a walk this morning. I heard a couple of people speaking Afrikaans in Sydney next to the harbour, to be honest. So there's plenty of South Africans there. But you go back to the game. For me, the only thing that the Australians people spoke about was the Suncorp hoodoo. You know, I thought, you know, the fact that you're relying on a stadium named after an insurance company to win a rugby game is not really going to take you that far. You know, so you got to talk about rugby, how you're going to stop mauls, what you're going to do from scrums, the physicality and all of that. Once that discussion kicked in, I didn't see where Australia could win, besides the element of surprise and a good start.
Yeah, I mean, I think that was probably where we struggled the most, right? Is creating a platform to play off, and you know, lots been said about Noah in a fly half position, but it's really difficult when set piece. You know, I mean, we heard some of the referees, Mike, from Peter Steph du Toit, where he was offered, you know, do you want a line out here? Do you want a penalty here? He's like, where's the scrum? Like they just knew they had dominance in that part of the game. And then once you got dominance there, it becomes a mental thing as well. When you're in that playmaking position, you could probably talk to this. But it just makes it more difficult for players like Noel Olesio and the other players that try and create when you're on back football, when you're trying to kick it, you know, like you're in poor position territorially throughout the course of the game. Look, I mean, the South African team just absolutely gave it to us.
Yeah, I think that what you said, Shimmy, around make an element of surprise, I don't think we kind of threw in anything too different, but the fact that we kind of made it a scrap at the start, that was quite interesting. I was kind of hopeful, even though we were 21 down, I was still enjoying the performance of the Wallabies. There was a lot of hunger, a lot of desperation, a lot of urgency, but when I saw, I mean, the hope came from, I saw the Springboks, they were kind of, I guess, reloading. There was a bit of fatigue there, but then they just kicked on. I don't know where they found that extra bit of gas, but...
From the bomb squad.
Yeah.
No, but we looked tired as well. You talk about that element of surprise. Like, it was good that we were manning up and being physical with them, but that's what the Springboks love. Yeah. Like, they love that. They'll eat that stuff up all day. The thing for me, the takeout for me, what I was most impressed with from the Springboks, obviously their line, their defence, their line speed, but then their ability to play with such width. Normally that's our game. And we struggle to actually play with a real lot of width. So I think that's another element where looking for this Perth game, it's going to be a really tough challenge for the boys again.
Schalk, Jean, anything to add there?
Yeah, but actually, on Gitz's point there, like I must say, we've spoken about this quite a bit, and there's a real concern in a way about where Australian rugby is at, and also asking the question, like, besides the team that played on the weekend, do you have other guys that can really fill in? Because you speak about the wide game that we were so used to facing against you guys, and you guys were brilliant at it. You look at the midfield of the Aussies at the moment, plus a Olesio that I think is constantly under pressure because of it's such a pivotal position. Do you think that they've really got the players that can play that kind of wide game compared to the way that you guys did it back in the day? Because I've still got question marks around that.
Yeah, for me, one of the big things of the weekend was, the way the Boks started. And we've seen with Tony Brown in the past, will be one pass ruck. Now it's like three passes ruck. And to Gitz's point, that's where we get our width from. We've got passing forwards creating a lot of width. And we know the modern game, that's how it works. And I think the plan from Australia from the beginning was to bash us up or try and be competitive on the physical touch points, like the breakdown. And unfortunately for you guys at the breakdown, you got penalised quite heavily. And then our set piece dominated yours, whether it was on our terms or your terms. So the whole first half was Boks only. And the few times the Australian side had touches on the ball, the turnover happened quite quickly. So they couldn't create any pressure on the Boks. But for us, part of our attacking evolution under Tony Brown, it's so pleasurable for us to watch the Boks play with width, and then all of a sudden you get a fly like Sasha Ngomezelu, who's a real threat on the gain line, which is something you need when you want to play with width in your game.
Scala, just one of our old shows, you said Justin Harrison was one of the most irritating Wallabies you played against. And I bumped into him this weekend. He's not happy about your comment. He said he wants to give you some chin soup. He said, don't come to Australia, but Justin Harrison's waiting for you. He said, look, I must give him a week. There's a reply to your message. But he said, remember, he stole the ball that won the British and Irish Lions series. Says, don't forget that.
Yeah, the pregnant snake. Leave him alone.
No, there's absolutely no fear factor.
No body, just guts.
There's no fear factor from Justin Harrison, boys. The only thing that irritates me is someone else will put a shot on me, and he will be the one mouthing off in the background. And I try to get a hold of him, and I just never could. And we lost the game in Perth, and I was sitting down with 24 beers on my table, and I was trying to avoid Justin Harrison. And the first thing he did was sit next to me, and I thought, holy shit, this is going to be a long evening. I might have to have a punch up in the post match. And ended up to be a real good evening. He's thirsty, old gooch.
Yeah, he's pretty. The other thing I thought was, I don't know, really interesting was how the innovation from Rassie Erasmus and also I guess it would be his coaching staff as well. But it wasn't just that set piece line-out where they got off the top and set it to another pod out in front, just in the 5 metre line where they scored that try. But also like to see in the first scrum, Cheslin Colby going from the open wing to feed the scrum, Cobus Reinhardt going into as an inside option. Like we didn't really get to see how that played out because the scrum was so dominant and Cheslin just sort of took the ball from the back of the scrum. But I mean, you can only do that if you're in a position of dominance to sit there and start to innovate and to do these things, right? Because, I would imagine the Australians would have been so focused on what was going on at the scrum that, there's probably almost lack of an ability to be focused on some of this other innovation that they're doing. And same goes with the line out. But what's you boys, I'm interested in your take on, Rassie Erasmus. Obviously, he's a bit of a left field sort of thinker. It's not just in these types of things I've just mentioned. The World Cup with the red light and whatever it was as well going up there in the coach's box. But what's your take on some of this innovation you're seeing in this Springbok side?
Well, we saw Chesler not only playing scrum off, he played hooker. So what the scary thing is, I think the 6-2 split the other way around is on. I think we picked Cheslin as the reserve hooker and we go 6 backs, 2 forwards.
Now you're just getting a little bit arrogant.
Yeah, now you're taking the piss.
Calm down, boy.
Now, I want to talk about the lack of discipline. So lots of penalties from Australia. I understand that it's pressure from the Springboks. I'm asking now the Wallabies, how do we go out in Perth and not give away as many penalties as we did? Lots of knock-ons, that sort of stuff.
Well, I don't think the penalties weren't through foul play because we were under pressure, right? Like the only way you can address that is by getting some at least parity in those areas, those contact areas that Scala just spoke about at the breakdown, set piece and that, because a lot of those were because we're going backwards in the scrum, the line out was dominant, and then all were under pressure defensively, having to go backwards and then infringing. So I think the ill discipline's one thing when it's foul play, but it's different when it's because of the amount of pressure you're under.
I reckon we also need to get creative, like think outside of the square. Like we've been so reliant, through our time when we were playing off set piece, throwing like something special off a line out or off a scrum. Now those set piece, like it's not as sure that you're going to get the ball. You can't rely on that. So I think we need to get more creative around our kick return or other areas of the game that we actually can control, because I think the set piece is obviously going to be a tough one. So I think if we can just get smarter around that. I saw it in one of the kick returns. We tried that little inside ball that the Irish also tried, where the fake forward went through and you play through to a back. We got a little bit of a seam, but more of those innovative ideas I think we need to bring in.
But also don't be too creative. It's just the simplicity of attacking the space. Don't you think that on the weekend it seemed like there was a real direct focus, with our ball players just running into men as opposed to attacking the space? I think that kind of fed into what seemed to be the Boks focus of applying a lot of pressure at the defensive right, because from 1 to 15 of the Boks team, they were flying in.
But they also came so hard defensively, like Eben.
Line speed, yeah.
The line speed comes that hard that as you look up, it looks like you're going to put someone into hospital. So it's almost like we need to play maybe tighter off the 9, catch those guys wider offside and then play if we can get quicker ruck speed. But yeah, I mean the Boks were on and we were off, so hopefully it'll be a different performance this weekend.
I think it's also where the Boks are at currently in terms of the experience that we have in that squad. They understand what they're about. They've been playing together so much before, and they can improve and innovate and try things because they're so used to each other. I think what we need to understand is that the Australian team is in a very different space than the Boks. You know, new coach, very young team, inexperienced team. So you need time together to make mistakes, to learn from it, and to find your own identity. Because, like I said, the Aussies of 10, 15 years ago versus this team is different. So you need to find what works for you, what kind of personnel do you have, and how can you evolve even further. So I would love to see, the supporters, the system of Australian rugby just supporting this group, this coach, as much as possible so that we can see them grow into a formidable team that we're so used to. Whereas I think, the last couple of years, there's been so much change in Australian rugby.
I think that's actually...
I've got some good news for you guys. I think every single team, the second game goes a bit better against the Boks because we play such a unique style, especially our defense, how we rush up. You don't often see those pictures. And I think in the past, when we were part of Super Rugby and we played each other a bit more, you sort of get used to the physicality aspect and the shock and awe of playing against the Boks. This Australian side's a reasonably inexperienced side, so they will look at the tape. They will see, listen, yeah, okay, we can be a little bit better. The scrum is the main worry because that's such a mechanical thing, and Shimmy is frothing every time there's a scrum next to you guys. They're having a sip of his lager as we speak. But I think you guys will go better this week. The big issue is there any personnel in the front row coming back that can sort of reinforce that scrum?
Well, no. So
Angus Bell, Tupou's?
Yeah, so Tupou's away. He's going back for the funeral. I think it was his father that passed. So he's going back to Tonga for the funeral. Whereas I think maybe Angus Bell might be up for selection this week. So yeah, I mean it's bigger than just the front row as well, though, right? Like, I mean, you'd know, isn't it? Something about all about all 8 of you at the front in the forward pack.
Yeah, look from that game. It's what gives the Springboks energy. I thought the best thing that happened to the Springboks was a knock on early on, so they can put the ball into the scrum just to say, listen, yeah, we've arrived now. Because you can dance and run around it, but there's a hard edge and a toughness that this Wallaby team. For me, at some stage, it looked like you're watching boxing. And it's Mike Tyson against Floyd Mayweather. They're both good boxers, but one punch is heavier than the other. Yeah. Eventually, you're going to fall. You can duck and dive and hide. And that's what the Wallaby team's probably missing now in terms of a little bit of a hard edge. You look what Borthwick did with England. When he came in, it was a kicking game, boring rugby, defense. It almost took them to a World Cup final. This Aussie team, for me, didn't attack the game enough. They sort of were looking, South Africa got line speed, let's kick over the top, this and that, instead of saying, let's give the ball, take them on physically, let's go, let's get quick ball, let's have a go, create overlaps on the outside. And that's what they did in the opening stage of the second half. I thought that was the team, the Australian team. We looked like, okay, now they're playing rugby now they're implementing their game plan. Outside of that, I thought they held back a bit, and that's probably what they're going to learn in coming to Perth, because there's no Suncorp, there's no crowd. That's another South African city there. That's the difference. That's the difference. So the challenge is harder now. Imagine this last game this weekend was in Pretoria. It would have been carnage there with a South African crowd. So this weekend's going to be harder for the Wallabies, but at least they've got the experience of that South African physicality, that first scrum. What do you do? How do you react, and how do you adapt?
Now, we spoke about that after the game. We had an initial kind of review of what we thought. One was almost like Jean's point. For Drew was saying, we can't expect this Wallaby team. They're playing against the best team in the world at the moment. So we just need to be realistic.
Are they the best at the moment? Or because Ireland's very good. I don't know if you...
let's not start that debate.
On the Boks Office, mate.
Let's not start that nonsense.
Just because Ireland the last...
We wait till we do a pod with Ireland.
Yeah. Okay.
Say that,
right.
But not for Boks Office.
You have Irish blood in you.
I do.
How many World Cups have they won?
Ireland?
Yeah.
In which sport? Gaelic football every year.
We're now shopping for a new host.
But Drew's point was just like, we just need to be realistic, stick with them, obviously show support for these boys, and just look at the improvements match by match. Yeah. And that's how we can judge them. Then the second point was what I said after the game was, at least we now know, from a ball player's point of view, you know what you're facing. So that physicality, that line speed, at least you have a picture of what you're up against now. Whereas that previous week, we'd only played Wales and Georgia, and we didn't really have a proper litmus test to see where we're at. So now we know where we're at. So I expect a better performance from us, but it will be tough.
Yeah, what we can't do is just mass changes, because then we've got a whole bunch of other guys coming on getting those pitches again for the same time, whether it's Dono or Liner coming in for Noel Olosio, then they're all of a sudden getting those pitches for the first time. Like we've got to put a bit of time and a bit of energy and faith into these guys and let them have a response. Let them go out there this weekend after getting the experience from the first game, and then seeing how they can adapt and make some changes.
Now
it was very interesting for me. Sorry,
you go, Sean.
Stop saying sorry.
The interview that Shimmy that you did with fantastic interview, Shimmy, with Joe Schmidt before the game, and Joe Schmidt is very realistic as to where his team is at, and he said, look, he basically acknowledged that it'll be very difficult to get a win, but can we be competitive in assets of the game, and then you can take it from there and hopefully improve the following week. So I think in him you have someone that's realistic about where you're about, and knowing that this is the group that I feel can do the job. And over time, we'll just get better and better, see where we have weaknesses, maybe make some twitches, but not wholesale changes right from the start. And I think that's the way to go about it, because like I said, the concern for me is more about what happens in Australian rugby all the way down to actually help improve, right at the top. And I've got question marks around that.
Now, we've chatted a lot of Wallabies, Springboks. Is everybody okay if I move on? To the big, the Wallabies are happy. Springboks, are you happy if I move on to the other big result from the weekend? Is there anything else you want to add before I do?
Let's go.
We've still got part two. If we can recap.
Come on, Argentina.
We can now, and it's a good time to bring it up, because we talked about how much the Springboks dominated at the scrum. Here's a concept: what if we avoid the scrum for 65 minutes?
Yes,
because that's what happened in the All Blacks Argentina. They didn't have a scrum for God knows how long. But the massive upset. Argentina 38 defeated the All Blacks 30. I'm assuming that New Zealand's not doing okay. We all know what it's like when they lose over there. We've all got friends and family there. Let's start. Gits, you tell me, why and how is this Argentinian side defeated the All Blacks in Wellington?
Don't ask me, mate. I said they were going to get flogged. From watching,
said Australia were going to win, isn't it? By
me,
8 points.
Of course, I have to say that though.
What do you say? They might get 8 points, or they're going to win by 8 points. Let's clarify that one.
I think I sent that tweet out too early. I was going to say we just need 28 points head start. Did that still make us win? 28?
No.
35-7.
Yeah,
we get to 15, we win. So as far as Argentina, from the
I don't even know what you guys are
saw,
saying at the moment.
What's that? Sorry.
Keep going.
No, from Argentina, the way they played against France in that 2-game series, I thought they looked not like a proper unit, especially at home. That's usually where they get their energy and play their best rugby. So I didn't give them a chance. But that Wellington hoodoo, it's a real thing.
What are they, 1 from 7?
Yeah, or 1 from 7.
I think they've won 1 out of their last 7 or something there. But I also think for Scott Robinson, Razor Robinson coming in, I just don't know if they've necessarily settled on their combinations, whether it's DMAC, if they're going to stick with DMAC at 10. They've changed their 13, Anton Linnett-Brown in for Rico Ioane. There's still a little bit of tinkering, I think, before they also click as well, in terms of, to Jean's point about our guys not having that catalogue of experience together and that cohesiveness. So I think with the All Blacks, there's probably still a little bit of time for them to work out exactly their best 15, their best 23, and also then how they play together. And whether Bodie was on the bench to begin with in those July series, went to fullback, probably feels like he's probably going to end up playing 10 eventually at some point when they make that decision. But I mean, Argentina played bloody well, but I think there'll be much like we hope from the Wallabies, there'll be a response from the All Blacks this week.
Yeah, look, the one thing about New Zealand is they probably regenerate better than any other team. I mean, who thought with all the infighting last year that they'd come in within a point or a kick of winning the World Cup final? I remember them coming to South Africa and they played in Bombela Stadium, lost. Then following week, they won at Ellis Park. So I think they know how to fix their issues. There's certainly not a lack of talent, probably short of experience at lock. Mwanga for me is the missing link there. He needs to come back. Whatever they do, they need to get him back into New Zealand, and probably Shannon Frizzell, where they've got someone to take the pressure off Ardie Severe. I mean, the amount of work he goes through in terms of in 80 minutes, he needs someone else, another loose forward, probably another loose forward and a lock, just to help him out there. But they can regenerate quickly. They've seen this movie before. Under Foster, lose the first one, come back, and at the end they're still in it. So it's not a big worry, I don't think. From there, still makes them dangerous.
I never thought this would happen, but John Kerwin complained that there was not enough scrums. I thought he was the one that's trying to get rid of the scrum. But Argentina was amazing, how direct they were, and they kicked early in the set. And I think, under pressure in the beginning, D-Mac chip kicks, passes it to Bowden Barrett. He does the big cross kick in the middle, scores a worldie. And if you take the last 10 minutes of that game, New Zealand had the game in their hands, and it's about closing out test matches. We've all been in those games. We want to play rugby, but the better thing is to play territory, kick it down. It's in Wellington. We've all played there. It's cold, wet at night, and the wind blows 1,000,000 miles an hour. They go through a phase where they pass 9, drops it back to D-Mac. D-Mac passes it. They pass it from their own 10-yard into their own in-goal, 5-meter scrum. Argentina, score the try off the back of that. But Argentina improved because I think in some stage in their evolution, they lost their way where they're playing too much rugby behind the game line in that dead area, where they returned to some more traditional rugby, kicking early in the set piece, great defense, good at the breakdown. We all know if Argentina is up for it, how hard it is to generate any momentum against them. They've got that leg chop and they're holding on to the ball. And I think, at the end of the day, the All Blacks couldn't deal with that frustration and try to force their hand in a test match, which called for something different.
I got to agree that I think the All Blacks are probably their own worst enemy at times. There's so much talent within that squad, and I think Razor Robertson gives them freedom as well just to go out and play. But Test match rugby is different to Super Rugby, and you need to be just bring it in a little bit and go down on your error rate. And also then they've lost a lot of experience. If you think from last year, no Retallick, no Whitelock, no Scott Barrett for this game, no Sam Kay, no Aaron Smith, no Richie Mwanga, and who else? So, I mean, that's a hell of a lot of experience that's now out of the team. When you're under pressure, who are the guys that will put up their hand and say, we'll take control? And that was probably lacking on the weekend. But as mentioned by Shimmy and the others, I think it makes them dangerous and they'll definitely bounce back.
This Argentinian, the Los Pumas.
Win Pumas.
The Win Pumas, yes, because now they're winning. Can they push the Springboks? There's a question. Will they give you guys a run for your money?
Doubt it.
Okay, that was easy.
No, look, they'll be brave and strong and tough. I think what they've got is gotten belief. They put New Zealand on a pedestal for me, similar to what the French do, and they always seem to play better against New Zealand. But can they back it up at Eden Park this weekend? That's another thing. They could possibly lose by another 20 points. But I get the feeling their season's almost started and ended already with this victory against the All Blacks. But they need to kick on from that and win championships. I think Michael Cheika made a big difference because he's a confident guy. That his personality sort of went into this Argentinian team. But we've been successful in Argentina away from home. They're very similar to us. They like scrumming. They like the attrition in the forward pack. We played them with the Jaguares when they were in South Africa. But I'm not sure. I just want to see what state they're in towards the end of the tournament.
Okay, very good.
I love how you just sit on the fence, rather than just say
no.
You're like, no, there's no chance.
No. Now, gents, we are getting towards the end of our little half, the KOKO half. I know. Sorry, Gits. I wish we could go all day. But we are on a tight schedule. And there is something that I wanted to do before we go. There's a little game.
Can I ask one more question?
No.
Just for the boys before then? Oh, no? Okay, sweet.
Okay.
Let him ask.
I'll
give him 2 minutes of our show.
I was just going to ask, you spoke about it just before, Jean, about how long this group of the Springboks has been together. 2019 World Cup, 2023 World Cup. The core group have been together for a long time. Like, how much longer do you think they could stay together and with the dominance that they've got before we start to see like a very different Springbok squad in terms of personnel?
Yeah, I think that'll happen slowly but surely. We already saw now, who would have thought that 100 Pollard would not be a starting player now already. We've seen Sasha Ngomezulu come in. And I think slowly but surely you'll see others as well. Elrich Lau, I thought, did really well at 8 with no Dwayne Vermeulen there anymore. So So I think it's something that needs to happen over a period of time rather than immediately a lot of changes, which was the case with Australia, you know. So I think Rassie's very he knows what's lying ahead. He knows what they're working towards, and that's 2027. We don't know which players will be there in 2027 in Australia, but after this collaboration, we are 100% sure that you guys will invite the three of us over to be there at the World Cup. We're really looking forward to that.
There we go, JDV.
Yeah, I've got to agree with John. Like, I think it's over a period of time, but I think it's happening naturally at the moment through injuries. You know, we don't have so many locks at our availability. Erich Snyman pulled out on the weekend. Lou de Jager, Franco Mostert got a broken leg. John Klein hasn't played since the World Cup, which forces our hand at loose forwards and who sits on the bench. We had Ben Jason Dixon play. We had Evan Roos play the previous test match. Ulrich Lowe at number 8 went well on the weekend. Salman Murat sat on the bench. He also captained the team against Portugal up in Bloemfontein, which by all accounts was a cracking day. I didn't put my hand up to go to Bloem. And I won't make your live show in Canberra, boys, but I'll be up for the one in September in Sydney. And I think, you know, this evolution is happening because we know we've all played till, you know, we were a little bit older. Some of us go well when we get older. Some of us don't. You fall off the bandwagon. So I think it's about Rassie, you know, trying to handle this transition as smooth as possibly. And when the team performs well in your senior statement, we're at an average age of nearly 31 on the weekend, which was the oldest of all the teams playing Test match rugby. So, you know, I think we've sort of at a sweet spot at the moment, but that sweet spot can, you know, easily get into an aging team at the next World Cup, which we all know doesn't end well.
Were you hoping he was going to say this week? Were you hoping?
Well, Shimmy thinks there might be a number of changes this week. They're sort of seeing this as just maybe a
Shimmy?
bit of a little easy one.
Look, it's not an easy one. I don't think if you look at the thing is when you're at the game and you walk past and see all the Springbok guys that aren't playing,
Yeah.
and you think about how many guys would be, you know, if they had to make a switch, wouldn't make much of it. Look on your hasn't played in a while.
Yeah.
Andre Pollard, Mani Lebok, Makazole Mapimpi, you know,
Now, I am getting the wind up here.
Yeah, sure.
There's a little game I want to... First of all, Drew, at the game on Saturday, it was you, Swoop, on Saturday. For defender, you took the ball out pre-match with Harrison.
Trophy. Mandela play.
How was that?
That was fantastic. Yeah.
So defender's obviously the major partner.
That's right.
For the TRC.
Yeah, got to drive the defender on the field. But yeah, little Harrison there got to deliver the ball out to the middle.
Terrific.
Great little kid.
Great cast defender. That's all we had to do.
That's my role this weekend.
You do? Is it you doing the
Yeah, I
defender?
can't wait to get in there.
Fantastic.
Won't get me out.
No, God, no. Now, the last thing, just before we switch sides, before we become Boks Office, that we like to do, Shimmy, is we like to play a little game called Start One, Bench One, Drop One.
Okay.
Now, we play it with the 3 Wallabies. Did you want to play it with the Boks as well, boys?
Oh, shit, yeah.
Okay, so what you got to do, and if the 3 of you can sort of work it out now, have a little, I don't know how you do it, a little chat between you. You've got to start one of these boys, you've got to bench one of these boys, and you've got to drop one of these boys. So,
Which boys?
these 3
Three of us.
Adam
playing
Ashikuba,
with us tomorrow.
Hey, guys,
if they're
that's
playing
easy.
game
You go to
tomorrow,
the loo.
Can I drop all 3?
I'll drop you in a minute.
boys, let's start with, and you can chat amongst yourselves. You come up with arguments, who for, who not for. Who would you start out of Matt Giddo, Adam Ashikuba, and Drew Mitchell?
What position though?
No, our
Anything.
positions.
Yeah.
But you can only pick one of us to start, one of us to bench.
JDV,
I'll go
you're the
first.
backline guy here.
I'll go first. Seeing that I played against Gitz a hell of a lot, I'm starting him every single time. 12 versus 12, even though he played 10s as well, he's starting. You guys can take the other 2. Thanks.
Yeah, I don't care either now.
So start one, bench one.
Bench one, who you...
Okay, Scala, we've got to talk about versatility here.
Yes,
Who
we
can cover
do.
more positions? Who can add impact? So we need a bomb squad member. Who's the tough one here?
Yeah, I had Gitz on the bench all along because he covers everything. He even played scrum half back in the day.
I'm happy starting, thanks, mate.
Swoop or Biv? Who's on your bench, boys?
Go, come on, guys.
A long silence.
Scala, what? Haven't you had scrambled eggs yet? Come,
Now
answer the
let-
question. Yeah.
I'm having some Bolton for breakfast here, boys.
Uh,
I'm going to drop Drew.
So am I.
That's fine, fellas. That's fine. I'll go out midweek down to Cafe Caprice instead.
Very good. Now,
I'll
boys, do you want
take
to
you
do,
with, partner.
do you want to do the reverse?
Yeah, I'll kick us off. I'm going to start you, Jean.
Oh.
Swoop, who are you going to bench?
No, I'll go.
Oh, you go?
I'm benching Shimmy. You're coming with me, Sculler.
Sorry, Sky. Yeah, you're with Drew.
We'll have a good
Double
night.
dirty.
Yeah, don't worry. Can we
Can I-
meet Canberra? I'll meet you in Cape Town.
Can I join you guys for the night out?
Very, very good. Hey,
Here we go.
we are now going to make the swap. So for those of you watching and you've just done the first half on kickoffs and kick-ons, it is now time to switch over to Boks Office. So no, you can make the switch now. You can listen to every episode of Boks Office for free in Rugby Pass TV, as well as Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and other audio platforms. So right now you're watching it on kickoffs and kick-ons. Go there for part 2. What do you think of part 1, boys? Pretty good?
Good.
Yeah,
Can't wait.
it's good.
for
World
that.
class. Unbelievable.
Shimmy, over to you, mate. We'll see you on the other channel.
Wow, what a
Holy
transfer.
Dolly, what a transition. Oh, wow. That is the best video on YouTube. You know what you need to do now? You need to like and subscribe down there. Or if you want extra content, might be down there, you need to go up here or up here and get more of that gear. Thanks for supporting Kickoffs and Kick-Ons, and we will see you very soon.